Okay, so random TCM no comm. I've gotten it to happen one time. So let's scan again and see what all I get out of this. But out of all the random codes it has, or continues to throw besides just random no comms, kind of the only common issue I get is this ignition on start switch circuit low voltage. You got the same thing in the BCM to control module ignition accessories circuit open. And then just invalid data from the transfer case, and then a front axle engagement actuator control circuit. I know sometimes on these early mid-year Duramaxes that the transfer case module can cause the TCM not to talk, but whenever the issue happens and it doesn't want to shift or anything like that, and all the service messages and service lights come on, the TCM actually goes off the network and the transfer case module still talks. So I don't think that's our issue. And the only messages I get are service four-wheel drive, hood open, and change fuel filter. I'm going to bring you guys back once I get pinned into our transfer case module here on the radiator and kind of get at some of our powers and grounds and see if I can duplicate the no-comm. Okay, so I got my TCM connector unplugged. I'm pierced into this red with black, or sorry, red with green. Let me zoom in on it for you guys. Yeah, there we go. So red with green. That should be a constant battery feed. This purple with black. With my, this black one here. And that would be where this purple with yellow, or violet yellow is, it's one inside from that. So it's inside and 3 up from the battery positive. And then this violet yellow is my serial data wake up signal. And what I found, if you guys look on my, let's see, which one is it? Red with green, we have battery voltage. So that's hot all the time. But on our violet and black, I have nothing. And that's supposed to be fed from this 15 amp fuse right here, fuse 40. If you look, I have no power on one side. I have power on the other side. So I have a blown fuse to the ignition side of this TCM connector. So I have fuse 57, 15 amp, battery positive, which is good. Coming into number 66 on the TCM, but number 35, the ignition power, and this fuse 40, 15 amp, which shows to be after the ignition main relay is blown. So I'm going to replace that and see if it immediately blows. Alright, so we replaced the fuse, and it immediately popped. So we have a hard short somewhere, and I'm just going to supply power through a 1 amp test light into here, and we'll see what else that fuse feeds, and hopefully whenever we find the short and unplug it or move the harness, this will go out. Okay, so this fuse 40 UA 15 amp by RPO codes feeds the TCM, the glow plug module, and the front axle engagement motor. So we're going to go unplug all that stuff and see if the short stays or not. Okay, so went ahead and unplugged the TCM, the glow plug module. I don't feel like crawling back underneath the car. We unplugged the front axle four-wheel drive actuator that's part of the front axle, or it's attached to. It's that little clear-bodied 3 or 4 wire solenoid, and the short stayed. So, but what I did find is I started to wiggle, and I had to hold it or it's going to go away, but started to wiggle the main section of harness that runs all the way with that orange tape through here. And if you watch my light, short comes and goes. And what I found is if I push on, see if I can get it all in one shot. If I push on that by the AC line, my short comes back. So, open the harness up there and see what we find. Okay guys, so I got the harness opened up. Let's see if I can get you any closer. And now it's not in focus. Now, you guys can see that, but it's all of these wires have copper exposed. There's a really good one. Yeah, all these wires have been rubbed into on that AC line. And I really don't have any slack in it, because it runs all the way down that side of the engine, all the way underneath the throttle body. So I may just evacuate the AC to give myself some more room and pull these 2 lines off here to that AC compressor and do something. But yeah, I'll bring you guys back once I kind of get that cleaned up, finished up, as long as the customer approves some repairs, and we'll see if any codes persist or if we have any more transmission issues. Well guys, the truck seems to be running good now. The steering wheel's super not straight, but we can deal with that later. It's not quite up to temp yet, and the only codes that we've set so far are in the EBCM for some history codes for CAN bus, the BCM ignition code, and invalid data from the BCM and the parking aid module.